It's Elaine. This is episode 109 of the Orange Pill Investor, and today I want to talk about something that just kind of fell into my lap. I got this Yahoo Finance morning brief, and I get them every day. And for some reason, I actually decided to read it. I guess the headline caught me, uh, caught my interest. I don't even know why I'm subscribed to this damn thing because usually I just delete it. So I was looking through my emails for ideas for this episode, and a lot of times I'll get inspiration from a irresponsibly long MicroStrategy community post or a podcast I'm listening to while I'm walking the dogs, or just for whatever reason throughout the day, I'll just shoot myself a little email, an idea email, and then maybe a video will grow from that. And and so I was digging through my emails looking for something worth doing a video about, and I saw this, and I'm like, okay, earnings. MicroStrategy earnings is Monday. Tesla earnings was last week. So this guy's complaining, why he doesn't like earnings this season. And my first thought was, of course you don't like earnings. Most companies are shit. And there's no reason to be excited about most of these companies' earnings because they're not creative. Like Meta is coming out with a dividend, which is, to me, basically that's like the death toll, for Meta, as far as I'm concerned. I would never even give that company a passing glance ever again, unless they stop the dividend, which nobody ever does. But just right off the top, he starts talking about, talked to Pepsi and said, "Oh, this will be the spring and summer of innovation." Like, really? Pepsi is going to be innovating? I don't fucking think so. It says think more power-packed Gatorade powders and tablets for workout freaks like yours truly. Let's do this. So I'm supposed to be excited about basically the real life version of Brondo from Idiocracy. Like, okay, Brondo, it's what plants crave, and I'm supposed to crave not just Gatorade, but Gatorade powder. So they're gonna dehydrate Gatorade instead of providing it to me in a drink bottle, and I'm supposed to get excited about reconstituting it myself or dropping it in my pre-workout. Yeah, go fuck yourself. And Warren Buffett has famously owned Coke, I think, for like ever. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's basically a drug. They got food chemists out here trying to make things as addictive as possible. And yeah, why wouldn't you? It's basically like legally being able to publicly trade crack cocaine. Like, if crack tasted delicious, that would be Coke. I mean, Coca-Cola, I guess it used to have cocaine in it. That's where it came from, the coca leaf, I suppose. I don't know. I got to double check and make sure that's not just a urban myth or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you could take crack, make it delicious, make it bubbly, and cold and refreshing, but it's still as addictive as it ever was, you'd basically have Pepsi and Coke. So sure, though, if all you want to do is just sit on something that will probably never go away because people are never going to quit drinking it, sure, I guess that's something that could fit into your portfolio. But I don't get excited about liquid diabetes. Like, that's not. And I try to take an agnostic approach to investing. Like, if something's going to profit you, okay, just profit off of it. It doesn't have to fit into your ethical worldview or whatever. But maybe my mind is changing about that. Or, you know, it is definitely a risk though, because if the world wakes up and realizes that they're killing themselves with this product, then I would assume maybe they'll just stop drinking it or not drinking it to the level that they have been. And so maybe these things just don't go up forever. But yeah, so right off the top, yeah, why would you be excited about Pepsi and Coke? And they're trying to say that it's gonna be a spring and summer of innovation. There's no innovations coming from Pepsi and Coke. I'm sorry. And then the next one, actually, I don't mind so much, Chipotle. Um, when I want a giant protein bomb, I can go and get a burrito bowl. I'm actually trying to do carnivore right now, so I'm not even doing the beans. So I haven't been in Chipotle in a while. But I guess people are using it for their go-to post fat burning session. All right, that's fine. I don't really care about snow. But then this is when he starts to get into the FUD. It's like, okay, there's bad news piling up, catching investors off guard, which to me, I think people are just disappointed that the rates haven't come down. Everybody was assuming that we were probably going to get the Fed was going to maybe lower rates, or at least be a little bit more serious about doing it. Okay, here's Meta again, materially lifting its full year capex guidance. I mean, they're handing out dividends, so they can go fuck themselves. Ford losing lots of money on EVs because of higher than expected costs. I mean, at least Ford has the F-150. That's a compelling electric vehicle, but they're kind of, they're having trouble with that even. And the Cybertruck is going to come through and eat their lunch, I would assume, except for the dedicated Ford enthusiasts who will just never buy anything but a Ford until the day they die. But eventually they will die, and those enthusiastic lifelong Ford lovers will no longer exist. So then what's Ford going to do? They're going to have to make a more compelling vehicle than Tesla. And no one is doing that except maybe BYD is coming close, and they can barely do it affordably. They're from what I hear, their profit margins are ridiculously thin. And so Ford is probably the least amount of trouble of companies that are not named Tesla. But GM, they're screwed. Their CEO is useless. And they're just basically trying to go bankrupt as slowly as possible. It's not that there's no interest in EVs, but with the interest rates the way they are, it's definitely hurting the market. And I think with Tesla's earnings, there was a lot of FUD and kind of depressive feelings around Tesla. But at this earnings call, Tesla just basically doubled down, and they're like, look, we're still doing all the shit we said we're going to do. And here's the stuff, and here's where we're at with it. And so that level of consistency and transparency, I think maybe that's why there was a little bit of a pump with earnings, because investors have the confidence of, oh, hey, they're actually executing on the plan that they have. They're not just talking about what they would like to do, and GM talking about how they're going to pass Tesla and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's your plan to do that, but how are you going to do it? What is the plan, and are you executing that plan? You ain't. You ain't executing jack shit. You're basically, you're basically going to have to get in line and try to get the best deal you can, licensing Tesla's FSD and licensing their charging networks so that your customers aren't stranded. And you know, what is it? Is the Cantillon effect where whoever stands closest to the money printers benefits? I think there's going to be like a Tesla effect where any car companies that stand as close to Tesla as possible and have as many and basically just ride on as much of Tesla's coattails as possible, that will be the number 2 company that doesn't go bankrupt first. They'll actually survive another couple of decades maybe. So yeah, what is there to be excited about with all of these other EV companies not named Tesla? There's nothing exciting about them. They're all just making plans for 50 million models, while Tesla's just killing each category. They got one vehicle in each category, and then they just own it. So yeah, all of these other companies are losing money on electric vehicles because they suck. They started too late. Tesla has an unassailable lead. They're not catching up. The competition is not coming. So yeah, I'm not excited about Ford. There's no reason to be. Continue to face inflationary cost pressures. Okay. You know who doesn't have inflationary cost pressures? Who has no storage facilities? They don't have giant warehouses full of products? MicroStrategy, that's who, because they can self-custody billions of dollars of quote-unquote product digitally for almost no overhead. MicroStrategy is not facing any inflationary cost pressures other than the price of Bitcoin itself. But Saylor's made it quite clear that he's just going to buy the top forever because he doesn't give a shit, which is another sign of transparency that investors would be smart to respond to. He has a clear path for where that company is going. And if you would like to borrow money for free, or nearly free, extremely low interest rates, and then buy the most highly appreciating digital asset with no overhead, no storage costs on the planet, if you'd like to do that, well, guess what? You can't, because you can't get the interest rates he can get. But you can buy shares in his company and benefit from it vicariously. So you can just hand him your money and let him do it for you. So if that sounds like, not financial advice, but if that sounds good, like something good to you, for me, MicroStrategy seems like a hell of a lot better investment than whatever the hell this ticker is, JB Hunt or Freight. Yeah. I have a good friend from high school who sells fireworks, excellent fireworks, and does well every summer doing it. But the other last year, I mean, the freight cost to get fireworks shipped was like ridiculous. And with the frickin' pirates around Africa, I can't imagine it's getting any better. But again, and even Tesla, I'm sure, suffered from this. If they want to ship their cars somewhere and they got to go the wrong way around the fucking whole ass continent to get their cars delivered somewhere. But you know what? They're solving those problems too. They're building factories over here. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to put more factories in Asia. We're going to put factory in, I don't know, but weren't they talking about putting something in Mexico? So they won't even have to start sailing around all this crazy shit because they're just going to have local factories everywhere. But MicroStrategy doesn't give a shit about freight costs. All right, Norfolk Southern, I think they are another, yeah, empty shipment, international empty shipments as geopolitical tensions. I haven't even read this whole thing. As geopolitical tensions remain elevated. Yeah, like MicroStrategy doesn't even sell their Bitcoin, but if they wanted to, if they did decide, oh, you know what, we've done some analysis and it makes sense to actually sell some Bitcoin. If they were going to do that, you know how much they would pay to ship it? Almost nothing. They can ship it nearly instantly, billions upon billions of their of their assets for nothing. They don't have to worry about pirates. They don't have to worry about how much the freight's going to cost. I guess the mining fees were kind of ridiculous lately. So, but I'm sure there's ways around that shit too. So IBM, okay, I'm sure they're innovating. Let's see what it struck a more cautious note when I asked him about soft sales at its lucrative consulting business. Lucrative consulting business. Yeah, my 9 to 5 actually still does some business with IBM as well. So they probably do consulting okay. But you know who what the most exciting consulting business on the planet is right now? MicroStrategy with their Bitcoin development company. It looks like they're assisting other businesses in becoming Bitcoin development companies as well, or at least maybe teaching them how to use Bitcoin as their reserve treasury asset. And so, to me, and really, Bitcoin is basically it's just where it's at right now, and it's the future. It's disrupting the whole financial network, and so that's one reason why I've called this damn channel the Orange Pill Investor in the first place. And it's the reason I'm on X, is because X, I hope, is disrupting all of the other social medias. So Bitcoin is disrupting. If you can kind of create your brand around the digital asset that's taken over the world, why wouldn't you? Why would you? I got a lot of since I sell covered call options for a living, and I basically am expecting to be able to unload my 9 to 5 next year and just do that full time. I got a lot of stock investors in my community, and I see a lot of talk about a lot of traditional finance stuff, and I every day I wonder why. Why do I give a shit about Pepsi, whether Pepsi met expectations? Why do I care? Even like Costco, I just bought $200 worth of ribeye at Costco. I eat like a pound and a half of it a day, but I still don't find Costco's ticker interesting. They got to compete with Sam's Club. They got to compete with whatever the hell the other one is. They got to compete with Walmart. Why would I be interested in something that's, not disrupting? Costco already disrupted your mom and pop grocery stores. Who are they disrupting now? Is Costco going to disrupt Walmart? I don't think so. Are they going to disrupt Amazon? Amazon is has already disrupted the likes of Costco's. Why would I go and fight the line at Costco and have to bring my own friggin' bags and boxes to carry my shit out in when I can press a button and have Amazon drop it off at my doorstep? And Amazon will take just about anything in return. Every once in a while I've had some problems getting returned. There's a few things they're like, no, we don't accept returns on this. But half the time, even in that case, they're just like, keep it. We don't want, here's your money back, but keep the product. Please, whatever you do, don't send it back. I have a septic tank, and I got a freaking jar, a bottle of Drano that I can't use, that I want to send back, and they just gave me the money back and refused to take it. So now I've had a freaking bottle of Drano in my in my cabinet for 2 years because it costs them more to ship it back. They don't want it. I don't want it. I guess I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do with it. Can I just drop it in the garbage? I mean, I guess they'll just throw it in the landfill. I don't know. So none of this stuff is exciting. But you know what's exciting to me? Friggin' MicroStrategy and Tesla. That shit's exciting. I listen to daily hype about that stuff, so I mean, I guess you could call me a Tesla fanboy. I'm definitely a MicroStrategy and Sailor fanboy, unapologetically. And uncertain macroeconomic environment. You think that might be hurting car sales? And I just tested over Model Y. I want to buy it so bad, but I finally managed to pay off my SUV last year, and I just love not having a car payment. But you know what's crazy is I'm tempted to go and get a collateral loan just so that I can buy more MicroStrategy. Like, I am not even fucking kidding. If my 2016 Ford Flex is worth, I don't know, it's got to be worth at least $5,000. I hope I'm lowballing, but that's 4 shares of MicroStrategy. If MicroStrategy goes up, if I got to pay 6% on a car loan, if MicroStrategy goes up more than 6%, that's a win. So I like not having a car payment, but what is not having a car payment costing me? Some of my other TradFi guys, they're like, oh, I'll never have a house payment again. I can't imagine. I can't imagine sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity and patting myself on the back because I'm not paying 5% interest on it, and I'm not getting Bitcoin or MicroStrategy gains of double-digit % year-over-year growth on average. It's insane to me. So yeah, earnings season isn't exciting. If you're I guess wasting time on all of these unexciting companies. But that's why MicroStrategy is 80% of my portfolio. Actually, probably closer to 90% of the portfolio. Tesla's coming in at a happy 10% at this point. A few little scraps left over for mining companies that I trade with my son every Friday, just for fun. But I mean, I guess this makes sense. This guy says, I really think this is actually a dip buying opportunity. Yeah, but not just because of it's a dip. I mean, I hate to even highlight this company, even in the slightest. But does it make sense to buy Nikola? It's down from $1 to 60 cents. Okay, so that's a 20% dip. Ooh, yay. Should I buy the Nikola dip? The freaking CEO was found guilty of fraud. So let's zoom out. Should I buy this dip? Let's see what's happened in a year. Okay, it pumped during all the excitement. This doesn't look like a chart that I would be interested in. Down and to the right, forever. A couple of pumps. I mean, and I was actually selling puts in this when this went nuts. And then right around here somewhere, I'm like, all right. I don't even remember if I made money on this or not. But I remember it being, the premiums were insane. You could get like 10% a week. But then, of course, you could lose 30% of your value in a week as well, 40 to 20. This could go down 50%. So, if you could catch this pump, then I'm assuming I got out of here Don't remember if I made money or not, but this chart is atrocious. Why would I buy this dip? Why would I buy this dip at $5? Oh, maybe I'll get a pump to 8 just so that it can crash again. Every dip is not a dip buying opportunity. In Bitcoin, we like to say, BTFD, buy the fucking dip. And it makes sense when the asset actually has a path. Saylor says you invest in an asset when it's disrupting and when it's the clear winner. That's Bitcoin. If I didn't know anything else about Bitcoin, if I hadn't watched hundreds of hours of Saylor's interviews, that would probably be all I need to know. Bitcoin is disrupting and it's the clear winner. All these other shit coins, all these other altcoins, whatever, they've all tried and failed. There's no flippening. It's the clear winner. There's no, people like to egghead this shit too much. I think all these corny ideas about, oh, I got to find the next Bitcoin because I want to make sure that I invest in it when it's $1 and it goes up to 70,000. That's never going to happen again because Bitcoin has already won. Bitcoin won in an environment where there was no Bitcoin to compete with. The only thing Bitcoin had to compete with was shitty fiat money. But now every other crypto asset that is created isn't just fighting and competing against debased shit money. They have to outcompete Bitcoin. Bitcoin has already won. You don't need to go back to the drawing board and find the next Bitcoin because there's not another next Bitcoin, which is why people say there's no second best. There can be no second best. What was it? Was a Highlander? There can be only one. That's how it is. Bitcoin is the apex predator. It has already won the next decade, the next probably 5 decades. I'm trying to live as long as I possibly can because I want to see what the world looks like in 50 years with billions of humanoid robots and honest money. So, and then Tesla, they're disrupting gas car companies. They're disrupting energy. They're disrupting autonomous driving. They're disrupting with robo-taxis, and they're the clear winner. There's no competition. The competition's not coming. You might be able to cherry pick some data and say, oh, this person had more growth over this quarter or whatever, but you don't need to have another corny theory and be like, oh, I got to find the next Tesla. Maybe it's Nikola. Maybe it's, what was it, Neo. I used to sell puts and calls against Neo and Rivian and what's that other shit one that the Saudis are into? Lucid, I think it is. None of them are the next Tesla. One of them could possibly survive and maybe get some of Tesla's floppy seconds, but there's already Tesla. You don't need, like, I know everybody's, okay, you want to, let's just look at, what's a Rivian? Rivian might make it, I don't know. I think they have a decent car, right? But, I mean, this chart looks like shit, too. Rivian has to compete with Tesla. Tesla survived and performed a miracle when they didn't even have to compete with Tesla. There was no competition when Tesla did what it did. No serious competition. So does this chart excite me? Like, what? No. I'm not buying Rivian at 9, hoping it'll pump to 900. Tesla is more likely to pump to 10,000 than Rivian does to 900. That's my personal opinion, not financial advice. And I think this earnings call, I hate to even plug this shit, but the All In podcast, I'm halfway through Stephen Mark Ryan's daily Tesla hype, and he's highlighting some stuff from the All In podcast, and they're kind of high on Tesla, and they're basically saying the sharp money won out on this earnings call, and they basically just said, you know what, regardless of sentiment, this stock is undervalued, and the price pumped. That was their claim. I used to watch the All In podcast. I no longer do because they're basically kind of laughing that they were bag holding. I think it was Solana, and they're going to do basically pull the rug out as soon as they possibly can and dump on retail investors, and that was fucking funny to them. So fuck those guys. I'll never watch an episode of their podcast again. But good on them, I guess, for figuring out a way to legally scam and hype something that they know is worthless, that they themselves want to exit as soon as possible, as soon as they're contractually allowed to. But anyway, doesn't mean that they're not right when they're right. And I think it was Chamath's opinion that the smart money listened to that earnings call and was like, oh, Tesla's doing exactly what they say they're going to do. If they say they're going to build humanoid robots, then they're going to build humanoid robots. If they say that they're going to solve FSD and they're having talks with a major car manufacturer to use it, then that's exactly what they're going to do. And I think it may not happen this earnings call, but at some point, Michael Saylor's consistency, and he even talked about it in his I think it was his most recent interview, is everybody knows what MicroStrategy is going to do. They've said what they're going to do, and they've been doing it for years. They've been doing it ever since, what was this? Yeah, 2020. Is that when they've got started getting into Bitcoin? And so they've built a track record of 4 years of transparent strategy. They're going to buy Bitcoin, never sell Bitcoin, manipulate whatever kind of cheap debt, issuing bonds, all kinds of fancy shit that I have no access to, and quite frankly, don't even completely understand. I still don't understand how they say they got 0% debt. If someone has $1 billion and they loan it to someone else for 0%, why would they do that? Why would they try to get 0? Somebody needs to fucking explain this to me. But anyway, they did it, or maybe they paid their fee up front or something, or did the people who loaned the money get paid back on the back end if the company does well? I don't know. Somebody explain, because I am confusion. So they basically said they're going to buy and hold forever. They're going to buy the dips. They're going to buy the tops. They're going to. I assume when Bitcoin is cheap like it is now, even though it's at all-time highs, it's still cheap from where we believe it's going to go. So, just borrowing as much as humanly possible during these bear markets makes the most sense. And they're completely transparent. Even some of the FUD about, oh, he was selling shares. I mean, he had to sell these damn shares because they were maturing. So there was nothing else to do with it. But even that was transparent. Like, here's why I have to do it, and here's how long I'm going to do it. And he spread it out over, 5,000 shares a day, so that it wasn't like some big hit. But people like to point to that. Oh, why is the CEO dumping shares? Okay. He's been completely transparent about every move that he's made. And eventually, investors are going to be like, oh, shit, I can actually trust this guy and this company to do what the fuck they say they're going to do. And if they start to realize it, like they realized what happened with Tesla's earnings call, we may get some similar pumps. All right. I've probably overtalked and worn this one out, but that was my inspiration. So I guess I should be grateful for this useless Yahoo morning brief. I need to unsubscribe from this damn thing. I never read it. All I do is just look at it and go, oh, I got one. I click select and delete. That's my daily routine. And I don't know why I'm wasting 2 clicks of my life every day on this useless fucking news. But that's how it is. And I guess I got a little something out of it today. Hopefully y'all got something out of it. All right, be good, y'all.